podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to a massive podcast for a massive club as Cardiff make the URC playoffs with a massive win over the Stormers. We'll be doling out credit to everyone involved and having a quick look ahead to the quarterfinals. Plus there's a leavers list to go over and the start of the end of season awards. Joining me on the podcast this week, we've got Fraser Stroud. Fraser, how are you?
Yeah, pretty pleased.
Good stuff. Harley Worthy. Harley, how are you?
Yeah, all good. Thanks. Thank you for pointing out I forgot to take the surname off the Zoom again.
I full name everybody so that if you say anything really controversial, the people can find you. Keeps everyone accountable.
I don't do social media, remember?
They can find your house. Tony Esposito. Tony, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. Just about getting my voice back after the weekend. So.
Yeah, we were stood together on the South Terrace, and your voice cracked before half time.
Yeah. It kept going though. It kept going. My son made lots of comments about me not going to be able to have a voice on Saturday, but I had one. I had enough to go again. So
it did come back. Half time worked wonders and had a second wind. Well, that's where we'll start then. Friday evening, Cardiff 22, Stormers 16 at the Arms Park as Cardiff book their spot in the end of season playoffs for the first time since they've come back in their current form. It was a dodgy start. Liam Belcher saw an early yellow card when Andre Smith took advantage of that with a score. But once we were back to 15, the Blue and Black scored some excellent tries. First two finished by Jacob Beetham and Tom Bowen, respectively. Sacha Feinberg and Ngomazulu kicked a penalty before Smith then saw a yellow card for a high shot on James Botham, and Ewan Lloyd capitalised with a stretching finish in the corner, I think you would describe it. Another penalty cut the deficit just after the break, but Beetham grabbed his second with a smart tap penalty move finished by him in the corner, and Cardiff were comfortably ahead with some solid game management and excellent defence maintaining it until Feinberg and Ngomazulu took a penalty with the last kick of the game to seal the bonus point. That's how much we crushed their spirit that they decided to take the losing bonus point.
Comfortable is not how I would have described that.
I was on the beach, mate. I was totally relaxed. We had, as I was saying to the guys just before recording here, wins are good for engagement on social media, as it turns out, at this level, where we had 48 three-word thoughts come back. I'm not going to read them all. I just picked out a couple to highlight. Gareth said, defence, physicality, immense. Ryan said, Fortress Arms Park. Ben was on cloud nine. Martin said we bossed the breakdown. Ben summarised it with that meant everything. I was just saying the same names here. There are different Bens and Martins. I just realised. Another Martin said back row gods. Joe was less relaxed than me. He said long last 10. Sean said massive defensive shift, and Mark, as is annual now to say every win. It was never in doubt. Fraser, coming to you. We usually do general thoughts, but I think there's so many thoughts that can go through that game. I want to start with a question of maybe it was like reactionary at full time. It felt like it after such a monumentous occasion, but a few days later now. Was it the best performance of the season?
I think, yeah, definitely. I was a Plastic fan, so I was on the sofa watching it, but we were so good in that game, and like basically all facets of the game. I think it was built off our defence and discipline was really good, because there were occasions when Stormers looked like they were on their way to getting a try, and we're like, physicality was taking toll, but then we managed to scramble, defend, and then maintain that discipline and gain either force an error from them or gain a penalty at the breakdown. I think our breakdown work was great. There were some really crucial turnovers throughout the game. And we forced them to kind of, go in at the side and stop us getting turnovers and all that kind of stuff. So I think, our defence and discipline were the key, like, cornerstone to what got us the victory. And then our attack was surprised. That was the best I've seen our attack, but as well, like some of the second try, I think the Bowen try in particular was incredible in terms of like the timing of passes and runs, and just like it was just so well done. It was just so pleasingly done, and it was just perfectly planned, and there was just enough space in the corner for Bowen to score, and it just seemed that's what we were designing the play to do, and it worked amazingly. And the other tries were good as well, but I just thought our attack, our like timing of of plays, and our skill set just seemed just brilliant. We just seemed like a genuinely classy team, you know. I think another aspect of the attack was like maintaining possession, because there were kind of periods when we had the ball for quite a while and we weren't really going anywhere. But we kept it, and eventually we got that half break, and then we got the momentum going again. And it was just that patience and maintaining that possession, keeping the ball secure in it was really impressive. And then just individually, everyone was on point. You could like shout out every player who played. I mean, we'll go over all that kind of stuff. I thought Johan Lloyd obviously was pretty unreal, and coming on, starting at 10 after such a long time, and then to produce that performance was unreal. But yeah, I think it was the best team performance I've definitely seen all season. It was incredible.
Ali, do you concur?
Yeah, absolutely. I do find it quite funny though. You know, after a few rounds of everything of us having really good goal kicking, that as soon as our attack starts clicking, we can't kick in conversions anymore. So I do feel like that game. I feel like that game the scoreboard made the Stormers look a lot closer than they were, and you know the fact they were taking the threes, whereas I feel like if we were getting 7 out of all our tries, you know, that would force them to have to gamble a little bit more, and then maybe that opens us up for a bit more. But you know, it's good performance, I think, especially given the personnel, and we basically lost the vast majority of the spine of our team. You know, over the season, that you know can't really fault it. I mean, we did struggle a bit of scrum time, but I feel like we managed to make it not matter, which is you know huge. I think both Tame Basham and Evan Lloyd deserve huge plaudits for that and their ability to get the ball out the back end of a scrum. You know, regardless of whether what you think of the way their Stormers scrimmage, you know, they do tend to get a reputation of, because they're going forwards, no matter how they go forwards, like penalties can come. So being able to get that ball out quick and make decent yards, I think sort of stunted them really, and they didn't have any answers.
Tony?
It infuriates me that that just because a scrum's going backwards, it gets penalised. Like it's such an incorrect thinking by referees. Just because you're going backwards doesn't mean that you're illegal. So anyway, I loved it. I thought we were really decisive at good moments. We kicked a lot. I think we had like twice the amount of kicking meters as them. That's based off the URC website, which Harley pointed out beforehand had us as -1 turnovers. So I don't know how much to take from it. But we were brilliant at the breakdown. We didn't let them settle at all, and we got into their faces as much as we possibly could. You can almost imagine Gethin smiled after that game, or maybe just had a bit of wind. But it's what this season has culminated to, where you're right, Fortress.
Oh, we've lost your audio there, Tony. I'm not sure what's happened to you there.
Is Fortress Arms building to the? I'm not doing much.
I was going to say, is Irish Rugby decided to cancel him in case he says something against Forward?
Quite possibly. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
All good, all good.
So Fortress Arms Park has really been building over the last few years, and that's partly because we as supporters have bought into what the club are doing for bringing those players on. We knew a few years ago when Sherritt first came in that it was going to be a bit of a road to get to where we are. And now we're starting to see that. We're seeing things that the club do. We've talked about it before, allowing us on the pitch at the end to mingle with the players. That all builds that bond, which then builds the crowd back and forth. And you can see how much the players feed off it, especially in those key moments when the crowd are getting loud, when we're on defence and things. They just seem to rally because of that as well. Like, yeah, it was brilliant. My kid loved it as well. So he thinks it's like that all the time. I don't want to break his heart. Yeah,
never take him back. Never go back. Yeah,
he doesn't know the pain. Yeah, I asked the question on socials as well if it was the best performance, and everybody generally agreed. Gareth said it was great. Great performance despite the fact we were missing players. Everything was on the line at that point. It was an unbelievable defensive effort. Ben described it as not only the best performance, most surprising performance of the season. I think the URC pre-match like predictor thing he had us at like less than 15% chance of winning it or something like that. So it was good to turn that over as well. Lloyd described it as the most accomplished performance of the season, especially with the injuries we had and the scrum dominance that they had. DCB said it wasn't just the best performance of the season, one of the best he's seen for a long while and one that will live long in the memory. And Alan summarised it with, yes, the best performance of the season without a shadow of a doubt. You can all go to the pub now, which is short podcast this week.
It's probably up there with the performance we put in against Bath in the Champions Cup a couple of years ago, where we played really good rugby on that day, but we didn't just have that hard edge that could see us out in games. Whereas now we've got that edge, and but we're still able to play good rugby with it. So yeah.
Yeah, there was that one. I think Sale on the Peter Thomas passing always comes to mind as well. But I think the one that I would compare Friday night to was that POW semi-final. Just it was that late in the season, nice weather. The other team are like abnormally large, and we just like played really well from start to finish and thoroughly deserved the win. It felt reminiscent of that one, certainly, just without the dash to get to Bilbao afterwards, because everyone's like, oh well, fuck it, probably going back to South Africa, and that's going to cost too much money, so we're not going to go there.
That POW game would have had South Africans throwing their toys out the pram as well, right? Because they had a South African centre in that game. Can't remember his name now, though.
I know it was Conrad Smith, all black, not
South. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh god, their own was as bad, if not worse.
just general Southern Hemisphere anti there. Fraser, I like starting the praise with the coaching staff, I suppose, at this point. Obviously there's a wider coaching staff, but I think for most of the season it's felt like it's been Van Zyl and Gethin Jenkins as like your two primary guys, and I would compare them now perhaps to that how we saw Danny Wilson and Matt Sherratt back in that 2017-18 season. Are they up there as coaching double acts now for Cardiff?
I mean, they've done brilliantly well, I think, but I guess you got to contextualise it. The jockey was there at the start of the season, so they haven't. But I would say that they've done incredibly well to just manage a really difficult transition that could be really hard, and they've managed to maintain, utilize what jockey put in place, and there was kind of or like helped put in place, and like take it forward in terms of the grit in defence. I think that's really come a long way since last season. This season's like we've definitely improved in that area, and then to maintain the kind of the attacking skills. We've had a few moments where we've doubted it a little bit, but then for what happened on Friday night, it was crazy. We looked brilliant, and it looked like we increased in our attacking skill set. So yeah, you've got to take your hats off to them, and to get to the playoffs is a massive achievement. So I think I wouldn't say maybe they're there yet in terms of that, like Danny and Jockey, but I'd say they're well on their way, and I'm quite confident going to South Africa. Well, confident maybe not the right word, but I think they've done a cracking job, and yeah, hats off to them.
Yeah, are you saying they've surpassed Justin Bernal and Gareth Baber's double act then, Dan?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't have them on my top 15 list.
Oh, really?
Which is impressive because the list is only 13 long.
Yeah, I think confident of South Africa, but is maybe pushing it. But I think we certainly go there without trepidation, which is probably something we've not done in this URC iteration anyway with the current South African sides.
It's a free hit out as well, right? Like because we're going there, we've got to travel on short notice. Obviously, they were flying back already, so they would have been gone already. It's nice that we're in the playoffs, but there's no pressure on us because no one's expecting anything from us. We've still got some injuries that are going to impact us. We've got to fly 12 hours to get there. It sounds like they're going on two separate planes. Some are going into via Johannesburg, and some are going direct to Cape Town, which is farcical in itself of how you have to get to a league quarter final. But then we're the underdogs, whoever we play now. Just free hit out. Let's just smash them.
I would say on that point though, well, we'll skip forward a bit to that just while we're on it. I do think though internally, and I think we've seen this from Van Zyl this season, where we've maybe thought like like Benetton Challenge Cup game was a write off, or going to Exeter was a write off in our minds, but. I think there's an internal level of expectation there now that we have to go and compete in every game, and we can go and compete, and I think that for us, I think from the outside, obviously there's no pressure from us as supporters, like we expecting victories or anything like that. I think we totally understand if we didn't win away at South Africa in a quarter final, but I think I'd like to think the players have the mindset and the coaches of. Well, we've got here now, so why not? Like, why not go and like cause an upset and get a result and stuff?
And that's what I mean by there's no pressure, but there's like they'll have expectations on themselves. And when we have no pressure, we can play the type of rugby that we want to play, right? So
yeah. Harley, bring it back to Friday. With Gethin Jenkins, I don't think we've really fully discussed his defensive system on the pod massively this season, but like stats wise, the URC on their list of defenses have put us third. I'm still not really sure how they decide what the order of that is, but like tries against, points against, I think we're roughly fifth in the URC table in terms of those stats. Like, but Gethin's a very, very good defense coach, and I almost wonder, are we at risk of perhaps losing him to a bigger club at this point, the way the defense is going?
I think it depends on basically what he wants. I think I've got a feeling the only thing that will make him leave Cardiff really is either got to be a monstrous offer or the national side calling, because his employers will tell him he has to.
Is it fair to say though that we have got better as a defensive team this season? Like he has progressed as a coach as well.
I absolutely, we definitely have. I keep sort of my own running of the URC tables, and then I keep my own little quirks, like things like teams, often you concede, over 30 points, how many times you concede a try bonus point, and Cardiff are in the top three for like not conceding that many, but so I think we've only conceded more than 33 times. And that, I think one of those games of the balls, which back in Pro 12 era, you used to be able to get rid of your worst result. So we could have scrubbed that. The bigger issue for us, I think, has been the reason why we haven't won more games is been more we haven't scored the points. We're definitely stopping tries. It's very rare that we concede a try bonus, but I think it's only been 3 all season. So and that's pretty good. I think only Glasgow have done better than that. So I can't fault it. Yeah, I mean Mellon's been doing a thing. I mean, as a term to describe his system, it just seems to be attack. It sounds weird, but he's attacking the defense. It's just like.
Is that there's a bit of Sean Edwards in that, I guess, is there?
Yeah.
Like that's his he's based himself off, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's like loving tackling, isn't it? It's like definitely like that mentality. It's like I want to smash these people. Like Winnett did some brilliant tackles on the weekend. I was like, where did that come from? But it's like I guess that's the mentality he wants the players to have. And last ditch, put your body on the line.
I think that's also where we have to where I think the best way to judge a defence coach isn't your Dan Thomases and your James Bothams, who are just going to plug out 20, 30 tackles a game because they fucking love it. It's your Callum Sheedys who, when he sort of came to the club, he was a revolving door, and he's gotten progressively less and less a revolving door. He is no Tina Stabir when it comes to defence, but that's just because that is a flanker trapped in the small man's body.
Yeah.
But that, when you look at the likes of Cam Winnett and Callum Sheedy and how much they're improving in our defence, whether that's because they're being put in fewer situations where they get exploited or, improvements in technique, I think that shows really the value of them. Especially when you look at other teams like Leinster, they've basically had to get rid of the golden boy fly half because he can't tackle shit. And they even though they've got a 2 times World Cup winning Springboks defence coach, can't get him to tackle. So, So, I'm saying this now, Leinster fans, our defence coach is better than yours.
Tony, we mentioned him there, Dan Thomas, like his stats every week over the last few weeks have been immense. And it's at the point now where we were discussing the team last week and sort of saying we've got like James Botham and Alex Mann as international level flankers, but you'd still consider Dan Thomas perhaps ahead of one of those two in our starting 15. Is he like literally undroppable for Cardiff at this point?
He's this year's Tom Young, right? Um, Whereas Tom Young was doing the same thing for the last couple of years, but was never getting picked for Wales. Dan Thomas has gone, oh, he's gone now. I'll do that job, boys. I'll just come in and win all the turnovers and keep the international players out. And he's been like, and it's sort of been quietly going about his business as well, like quietly just turning in eight out of 10 sort of performances and flown under the radar a little bit outside of us lot, Cardiff fans, I mean. But
No, specifically us.
maybe maybe people get distracted by his flowing locks, and that's
his
why.
arm wrestling Ukrainians.
Yes.
I do have one complaint about Dan Thomas this season.
Oh.
He didn't score a completely bullshit hilarious try by pushing a scrum half over.
He's such an intelligent player. Like I think his awareness of the game and like when to commit, when not to commit.
Yeah.
And like he just like follows the play and then he's like, right, this is the ruck that I can make a difference here. And he's just like really efficient in that. He rarely gives a penalty. Like he's always playing on the fringes of like discipline. Rarely ever gives that penalty away. He's just got a really good mind for it. He's really impressive.
So that comes into what Harley, I think, was saying earlier about we're not putting Sheedy and Winnett into bad positions because our back row and specifically Dan Thomas, they know when to attack that ball and they know when to, all right, that's gone, so we'll just leave that out. So I'm not, before we were so much all out attack of the breakdown, we were just leaving gaps around the fringes and then everyone has to pile in one, which means we were leaving space or we were leaving gaps in midfield and we're exposing Winnett and Sheedy or wherever we were trying to hide them at the time. So having that bit more of intelligent nounce, which probably comes back to Gethin's defence structure as well, like that all sort of ties in. It feels very much like Dan Thomas has been able to excel because of the situations that we as a team are putting ourselves in.
Yeah, I think that you're right that he's like directly replaced Thomas Young, but the player comparison, I think going back a previous open side generation is he's like Ollie Robinson reincarnated in a way, like even the way he's come from Bristol as well. But like they're both players.
Where's his PO box?
Well, in a farm in Carmarthen, I think so. There's no question about that one. But they're not like, to look at them and sound a bit harsh, but they're not naturally like athletic looking people. They're not massively quick or anything like that. But they're just there. Their reading of the game means they're always there. Like Dan Thomas, and not just around the breakdown as well. Like balls dropping out of the sky on box kicks and stuff. Who's there? Oh, it's Dan Thomas, of course. He just snaffled the loose ball, and then in attack as well, he pops up in really clever positions to make the most of his skills there as well. Because he's got a decent set of hands as well. To be fair to him, like he's a good like old fashioned open side link player in that regard as well. So yeah, he's it's great. Back row depth in Wales never ceases to amaze me. But like, it is mad that we've got the two guys who basically finished the Six Nations at flanker for Wales, and everyone agreed were two of the best players for Wales. And then if everybody's fit for Cardiff, we're sitting there going, "Do we actually pick them now for Cardiff or not?" Another player, Frazier, that we mentioned a bit earlier as well, Johan Lloyd coming in at 10. We've discussed him as a kind of versatile option all season. But with Sheedy withdrawal, I think he picked up a hamstring injury, they said, at the end of the game against Glasgow, which I didn't see. I don't know if anyone actually did pick it up. But with him not available, he goes in there and has a superb game. I guess the question is, one, is that like him being a genuine fly half option for us now? Or is he... Is it just that kind of game against the big South Africa back that really allowed him to show off what he could do? And also then going forward, is he a genuine rotation fly half option for us now, like him and Sheedy swapping, or does Sheedy come back when he's fit and is still the first choice?
It's tricky. It's like Johan Lloyd, he's like a mercurial talent, right? So it's like he can come out with that game and then the next game can be like absolute batshit. I thought at the start of the game, the initial kickoff, the start of the whole game went wrong. I was like, oh fuck, this is going to be one of those Johan Lloyd performances. And to be fair, after that point, he was unreal, like so good, and he's got his running game is, what differentiates him from so many other tens. It's like his ability to bounce off tackles or somehow keep going. I just don't know how he does it. So he's not big at all, but like he clearly has like a kind of bouncy muscle or something like Cheslin Colby has. It's like you try and tackle him and they're gone. Or like Blair Murray has a similar thing. He's like, oh, how did he get through that? But yeah, I thought he was unreal, and his decision making as well was good. Like he made kicks at the right moments. His kicking game was on point, at least out of hand. There was that one 50-22, which was like beautiful. It's really tricky because if you just look at that game, you're like, well, obviously he should start. He should be starting every game because he can play like that, and he can balance all those kind of skills he has because his skill set is unreal, and he has the potential to be that kind of player. And it's just if he can tie it together and get a few games running, and then that's the question. Do you give him another chance? If Sheedy's not fit, or if he is fit, like next in the playoffs, do you give it back to Sheedy, or do you give Johan Lloyd the chance to kind of prove again that he can do that, considering it's against the same team and it worked really well? I found that as a really tricky question. I was blown away by his ability and his performance on Friday night, and he surprised me, and I imagine he surprised some other people. Like to come in at short notice and do that is amazing, and that's the Johan Lloyd is always in there, and he's got that in him, and it's like that's the thing you want to see every game. And I guess you can only find that out by playing him more often in that position, because I guess it's like, he can be thrown about full back, he can play on the wing. It's kind of tricky. He can fill all these gaps. And it's kind of, I would like to see him get a run of games, but then Sheedy has been brilliant all season as well. So it's like you can't, Sheedy must be pretty pissed off watching that. I'd be like, fuck's sake. I mean, I'm like, why did you do that? Yeah, it's a really tricky question. I just don't know. I don't know the answer, but shout out to amazing.
I feel like considering years where we've had 110, having two and having given them the opportunity to play off of each other and try and outcompete one up and be, for fight for those, I think is only going to help the club. And also it gives you two quite different styles of play, which means then one, you can tailor your 10 to your opposition. Two, if you've been running a certain system for a while, you almost can try and catch them off guard. You have Johan Lloyd on the bench, Sheedy on the bench, swap them over. It's quite interesting. I was chatting with Hugh from Scott's pod and basically every other rugby pod in existence at the moment. But he was there like thinking, and you sit watching the game. He went, "See, this is the difference." And he was like, "This is why Johan Lloyd works at Cardiff and doesn't." And it's Ben Thomas. It's having someone who can almost take the admin off him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to worry about game management or stuff like that. Yes, he does do it and stuff like that, but it doesn't have to rely on it. He can just pop up in that wide channel and go through it. Or, if he wants to be in the start of the first phase, you've got someone to bounce off of. I mean, that's really where the dual playmaker, I think, works best, is if you have one really exciting person who you don't know what's going to do, you have that sort of wide ahead who, let's be honest, Ben Thomas is just class. He does make club rugby look quite easy at times. But having the two of them there like that, it's just a beautiful balance. Weirdly, actually, I thought the whole we ended up with a triple playmaker thing with Rory Jennings and then Steph Manuel, which again, I was surprised how well that worked because it's been bothering me. I still don't like it, but it was weirdly efficient. And I went, all right, what we can do? Have three, just have a whole backline of 10-12s and a scrum half.
No, I think
we call Jennings a playmaker.
Well,
in the loosest possible terms, he ostensibly can be put in the 10 channel and the 12 channel.
The point about the changing up the 10s, though, I think is the key one there. That it might not be the 10 every week, Johan Lloyd, but that's probably the next step for Cardiff now. Is not just like what do we do, but like how can we put out a team every week that wins, and what is the best team to do that? Not just this is the 15 that we're sort of stuck to because the squad isn't that deep necessarily, or because these are the players we know, but everybody's settled, and then players can start shifting in and out because. Like I look the game we always look back to, that Scarlet's home game, and you think, oh, maybe if Johan Lloyd plays in that game like he did on Friday, we unlock the Scarlets a bit more and score a few more points and get the win. But then similarly, I wouldn't look at that win over Leinster in February on a pissing down night in the middle of winter and think like that's a Johan Lloyd game necessarily. I still want Sheedy in that game, I think, to manage that. So yeah, that's definitely the next step for Cardiff, is tailoring it week on week to get the best 15 out there to win, not just we know what 15 we're roughly going to pick and hoping that's good enough on the night, basically. Harley, you mentioned earlier about Tinas de Beer being a flanker in a fly house body. In a similar fashion, Johan Mulder is obviously playing very, very well for us. I think it was 13 tackles and a turnover on Friday after a similar, I think, a 3 turnover game against Glasgow, potentially the week before. At this point, does he sort of come onto the Springboks radar, perhaps, as a depth scrum half option, or do we change his name to Johan, as in Johan Lloyd Mulder, and start hyping him up to be Welsh qualified in 2029?
Yeah, I think we burn his birth certificates. Forge him some Welsh ones. No, I'll be honest. 9 is, they do have a lot of scrum halves in South Africa. I think whether you think they're better or not stuff, I don't know, but he is the perfect scrum half for us at the moment, and I almost, selfishly, I don't want him to get Springbok attention because that tends to lead players to being pulled more towards South Africa or some of these other things. So
or Munster.
Yeah, almost. But no, it's fine. We're not Scarlets. They only seem to want to take South Africans from the Scarlets. Yeah, I mean, the man is crazy. I mean, he's one of the few in that Glasgow game. He's one of the few players who I felt like came out, who rose their stock with even more. And him. The issue is when we were short on scrum halves out in South Africa, and he flew and had to abandon his newborn child to go because the team needed us. He just seems like such a great guy as well, which really does help because sometimes these players aren't. I'm not going into names, but
he loves a tackle as well.
Yeah,
like absolutely, and like he smashed someone on the weekend.
It was the replacement prop, Lucette Prop, I think it was.
Well, yeah, he specifically loves smashing props, South African ones, because there's that viral clip of what he did to that drug cheat one from the Lions. I'm allowed to call him a drug cheat now.
Yeah.
Don't have to use allegedly
he signed
anymore.
off on it.
Don't have to use
Or you
allegedly.
could say he went full Georgian.
Yeah. Well, yes. But he absolutely he just loves to munch people, and it's like he plays like sort of like Mike Phillips used to, but in a much smaller body.
Somehow more effective.
Yeah.
I remember,
and he doesn't fight bouncers outside McDonald's on a
that we know of anyway.
Yeah, not really.
Yet.
I remember when his first games this season, I thought I was like worried about his standard because obviously no one knew him really, and I think he had a couple his first game was bad, like he was bad.
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck's sake, who is this guy? Why is he doing this? And fair play to him. He's got better and better throughout the season. And like tactically as well, he's like got so much better. Like he sees out games. I never would have associated that with a player like he's a big bastard 9 who tackles people, loves a ruck and stuff like that. But he's also got that savvy ability to kind of do the box kicks in the right area, and he just gets better game by game. He's like really impressed me and shut me up from thinking he was like, who is this guy to be in?
I think there are a lot of people who thought that when his first few games were particularly bad, and then we had an injury to Aled Davis, and we had to play him, and he just seemed something came alive in him, and since then he's gone from strength to strength to the point where I was surprised Aled Davis's name wasn't on the leavers list with us keeping Bevan. So
need a third though. You do need like 3
a couple of kids hanging about in there.
The other thing I'd say from Mulder, I think, which we don't mention too much, unbelievable engine as well. Like the pace that he maintains throughout the game, coming in at the back of rucks there, like he covers a lot of ground. He gets around that going quickly. But I think the other thing that's been impressive about our scrum half play as well, there was a couple of times on Friday where, Dan Thomas goes in and plays 9, or Cam Winnett did it for a bit as well. Like, I think we're getting that stage now in the attack where we're able to switch in and out of positions like that just to keep the speed of ball up. And because nothing infuriates me more in rugby than when there's like a ruck on the other side of the pitch and everyone just stands waiting for the scrum half to run across, like it's sort of Rugby 08 on the PS2 and you have to wait for him to appear. Yeah, so that does frustrate me a lot. So it's nice to see people switching in and out, and hopefully then the next development of that is what we ended up doing a bit with Thomas Williams, where he would just sort of pop up in midfield, because I think Mulder would be great at that as well, like standing out as second or third receiver and making something happen. But on the attack then, Tony, there was we mentioned on the pod last week that we were linked in Rugby Pass to Matt Banahan potentially coming in as backs and attack coach, but he's been announced in the last couple of days as going to Hartpury RFC, the men's team in the English Championship. However,
downgrade.
Well, yeah,
couldn't have been that good then.
Yeah, I did suggest that Gloucester Hartpury, sorry, their attack was slightly better this season with Banhan than under Sean Lynn, and that it was all Banhan's doing. I now obviously take that back, and it was just a total accident. Banhan's a terrible coach, but after Friday, Johnny Goodridge got a lot of plaudits, and Dan Fish was also a bit more heavily involved at the end of the rag season. Are we at a spot now where we think we could be happy with that being the senior attack coaching staff next season?
Only if Dan Fish isn't doing the RFC. I think the start of the season, because of Sherritt leaving, I think Fish was more involved from an attack perspective, and that impacted the RFC start to the season. I don't think it's possible to do those two roles, be a head coach at one and an attack coach for a pro team. So if he does, then the RFC need to look for another head coach. There's a couple that could fly around, but I'd be quite happy with Goodridge and Fish, and it continues that ethos of Cardiff where we're bringing through our own coaches and developing that talent pool, and giving older players more of a reason to come and join us. So people like the new prop that we've signed, if he has any interest in coaching, then he can see that there's a path within our structure to do that because of the links that we've got with the RSC and then that path that we go all the way through to. You've seen Turnbull do very similar things, from coaching at a local level to then he was doing line-out stuff with the RSC, and now he's with the under-20s. So there's that, and I think someone mentioned the other day that McNally's interested in hanging around and doing some stuff. And obviously, on the flip side, Jason Harries is now working in the commercial aspect. So even if your interest is not on the coaching side, there's something that can be done. So maybe that's a good selling point from to bring in older people, but not older, but more established players, and that gives that
older
path.
People sounds funny.
I know, because they're all younger than me. Sorry.
It's a good point, though. The pathway there for players to move into, and particularly, I think that coaching pathway is spawning a lot of good coaches coming out of the Cardiff system. Like, not just, obviously, we've got Gethin and Fishy and Josh Turnbull within it still at the moment, but you've got like Richie Reese, T. Reese Thomas, guys who've come out of our coaching setup and gone on and done well elsewhere as well. So it's definite tick in the box for the academy generally, I guess, and Griff there doing good work. And it's not just the older players either. You got Gwilym Bradley doing a bit of coaching, Rory Thornton as well. These guys are still 30 or below, so it is good to see. But yeah, I wonder. Yeah, there'll be some RFC fans listening and be like, "No, don't take Fishy off us."
Well, I am one of those that I'm like, I wouldn't want Fish to leave him because of, like, he's done such a great job since Spotter's left. But the natural progression should be he's taken them to semi-finals on the last 2 years on the bounce, and now let's have a go at seeing whether that translates to working at a pro level for him to be the pathway to maybe our next proper head coach. So that's the pathway, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Fraser, back to some individual players. Tame Basham won the man of the match on the night. I think it could have gone to one of about, well, any sort of 15-ish players probably would have been happy to win it. But Basham was the one who got the nod. I think Gwyn Jones did it on Espadorec. Rugby Pass have him at 21 carries. I think the club put up a graphic that had him at 25 carries on socials this week. So I don't. Carries seems to be like the obvious thing that you could be able to.
Yeah, that's
count.
like basic.
But
Well,
anyway,
you had him at like 210, didn't
yeah,
you?
well, I had him at 100 at half time. But yeah, he was everywhere, like in terms of giving us platform off the back of the scrums and popping up in phase play to create a new scale of performance. Where does he rank on the Xavier Rush one-man band scale?
Well, I was thinking about that, and to be fair, he was, supported by Botham and Dan Thomas, who all both had unbelievable games. Like both of them was great for. I haven't mentioned him, but he was excellent. His attitude is unbelievable. Like that, yeah, he's got a bastard mentality, which I love. Just combines perfectly with Tame Basham. No, he was brilliant. He was, I think, it was a continuation of the games he's been playing. He's been performing well, and it's again stepped up again, made the yards. He's got I think it's that footwork. He can like start and stop really well. Like go into but not like it's just really suddenly he would stop and then move direction. It's really impressive for someone that size, like a number 8, to be able to do that. And I think that does catch players off guard a lot. And he is able to find those gaps because he's not the biggest number 8. He needs to be able to find the spaces. He's not like a head down, I'm going to make yards, because he can get pushed back, and he's not a big fucker, but he was good again at picking the right spaces, picking the angles, timing his runs, and he got us on the front foot a lot of times. And I don't know whether ranking how it would work with the Xavier Rush.
Yeah, I haven't thought that deeply about it.
No, I think he was brilliant, and he's just he's asking the questions, like keep me in the team. Like Big Al, it didn't start, and it's like we were kind of questioning whether he should have come on earlier in the last game. It's like, well, if Tame Basham keeps doing that, then it's going to be hard enough to push Big Al. But again, they're different players. Which is great, similar to Johan Lloyd and Sheedy. You've got two great number 8s competing at the prime of their careers, offering different qualities and doing them both well. But I thought Tame Basham was brilliant. Yeah, deserved man of the match. There was, like you said, there was 14 other players who could have man of the match. But he was great on the day.
One of the things I find like Tame Basham, particularly when he first broke through into the Wales squad. One of the big issues was he'd be making these busting runs and no one was with him, so he's always getting turned over, and everyone was like, "Oh, for God's sake, Basham, you're getting turned over again." I was like, but no, like players weren't anticipating doing this break. Whereas I found with this season at Cardiff, it's still started out a bit ropey, but they just know he's going to make that extra few meters, so they're not aiming to hit a rut where Al Lawrence would basically stop. They're looking a little bit to the side and a little bit further up because they know he's going to do that jink. And I think it just allows Basham then to just do what he loves doing, which is pinball off a few bastards and make him look silly. So, I said we're always talking about the balance of the back row, and I feel like we've almost hit a point now where it almost doesn't matter which 3 back rows we chuck in. They seem to be able to play off each other really well. Which is frankly a fucking luxury compared to some teams, but or you take one man out and that's it all falls apart.
Yeah, I think that's what's exciting about Basham, like going into next season where he's settled in, is like the amount of stuff you could do off him as well. Like he can occupy 2 or 3 defenders with that footwork, and then where's the space around that? Then can he pop a pass away, or is he going to make that yard, and then can we develop an offload game off him then as well? And there's a lot of possibilities there. I did wonder how much. I don't think Tandy was there on Friday. I know Jockey was, but I was almost half expected when the camera went up to Basham as he walked off, just to be like, "Are you watching, Steve? Are you watching what I've just done?" But yeah, he was excellent.
Speaking of players doing that, Jacob Beetham again.
Yeah. I didn't even put his name on like the the list of players to mention on the pod this week, just because like it's been every week we've said it. But yeah, I mean, frankly, unbelievable how he's not in the Wales squad. I know the Dragons guys were saying the same about Rio Dyer on their pod this week, but like I just think you look at Beetham and the attributes that he's got and the positional versatility that he's got, and you're like, how is this guy not in a squad that's like 500 people big? I don't understand.
Also, Beetham's good and Dyer isn't.
Well,
I'm not that. I was going to say it vindicates what a lot of us, So I think back when it was just me, Dan, and Carl, and even before then, actually, I think we were saying with Jacob Beetham, once that kid gets a run of games, he's going to look something different, and he's finally seems to have shaken those touch wood, shaken the worst of those injury knocks, and he's getting a run. And right, maybe when he was probably initially hoping for it to be at 15, but actually we're finding he's pretty good on the wing, and you still have to do a lot of the job of a 15 on the wing anyway, because we do go with the classic pendulum in the backfield, so he still has to be able to do it. And his aerial game is just so good. It's like it's easy because he's a massive bloke, but there are a lot of massive blokes who can't make it work, and they don't make the most of it. So yeah, I've just always been really impressed with Beetham this season.
The other name then, Harley, sort of in and around that space as well, that didn't get in the Wales squad, but I think has played very well over the last few weeks for Cardiff, having come in, is Cam Winnett. He's looked better and better week in, week out. Like, could he also count himself unlucky, considering in that 500 strong squad, as I mentioned, they haven't actually really picked an out-and-out fullback in it, and Cam Winnett would seem to be that obvious out-and-out fullback.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a case of the fact that they're just going to keep persisting with Lewis Rees-Zammit's experiment, where despite the fact he just does not look asked to defend, no matter what team or what position he's in. I mentioned on the wrap last night, like I watched Northampton Saints score a try. Bear in mind, Bristol are at home. This is early in the game. He just sort of jogs towards it. The Northampton Saints player goes, yeah. It's like, fuck it. I've out my club. I don't want you.
It's also noticeable that Bristol have switched him out of the fullback position now as well. So what does that say about Tandy picking him there? I don't know.
Yeah,
he's clueless.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I've got no excuse. Yeah, I mean, you look at like the potential fullback options in that Wales squad, and you've got like Lewis Rees-Zammit is probably going to be carrying on from the autumn, despite the fact it just objectively didn't work. Whereas Eddie Jones improved week on week, Lewis Rees-Zammit was exactly the same, and so it looks like he's either does not have the inclination or lacks the ability to get better in that position. Then you got Tom Rogers who screw up through Blair Murray before, but he's too small. Tom Rogers, who is a very good fullback whenever they did. Scarlets were playing him that fullback until Gatland put Blair Murray at 15, and they switched it. So he hasn't played there in 2 years. And then other than that, you're looking at utility players like, you've got Ben Thomas, who theory can, but it would be bloody awful. Josh Adams hasn't played at 15 since the Australia game after that Georgia loss, which is the first time Lewis Rees-Zammit played at 15, which no one seems to remember. And you're just there thinking, why wouldn't you just try? Why not have that extra specialist fullback? I know there's some issues with the defense, but I think he's been working on that as well. His aerial game, I'd say, is a lot better than Blair Murray's. Yes, he's probably not the out-and-out playmaker Blair Murray is, but if you're going for that playmaker at 12, why not go for someone who's a bit more solid defensively in the air? And yeah, I do think he's a bit unlucky. And at the start of the season, I probably would have said not, but he's worked on that part of he's working on the worst parts of his game, which is all you can ask for really for your player. So I think he's a little bit unlucky. I'll be honest, I think there are more obviously glaring issues in that squad than the back three, but but that's not for me to talk about.
Do you think with Lewis Rees-Zammit, and maybe I should be reaching for the hat now, he puts bums on seats, as in people want to go watch him because they think he's exciting? Do you think there's an edict? I mean, like I said, I could reach for the hat if you wanted to.
What you will say for Rees-Zammit is, I mean, yeah, I've seen some of the highlights of that bonkers Bristol Northampton game, and it's not great defensively. But then he scores a try in attack, which I don't think many other people could score because they're just not as rapid as he is, and that counts for quite a lot. But I do think there has to be a question mark. Yeah, well, yeah,
That's the thing. He's doing
Yeah,
this from the wing. I don't see how he can't translate what all those good things that everyone's talking about and get him getting his hands on the ball more. Ironically, him playing at fullback saw him get the ball less
yeah.
because of the way Cardiff use their, Wales even use their fullback.
Oh,
And
Freudian slip.
yeah, there you go. That'll have the commenters on us.
We'll make sure Lee puts that one out on socials.
Coming back then to sort of general season, Tony, for Cardiff, we've ended up finishing 6th on 55 points, which I like. That has to be above expectations, I suppose, doesn't it? I think we just kind of thought we'd slip into the playoffs in 8th if we were going to make it. Like 6th on 55 points, where I don't want to keep harking back to it, but you win that Scarlets game and you're suddenly looking at like a home quarter final, which is quite mad.
Well, I mean, it's not even that, is it? Sorry, Tom.
No, go on. Help yourself.
I was going to say, if Sheedy had his kicking boots out in Munster, that takes the team above us and drops them down as well. So that shoots
There's so many little things like that, sliding doors moments. I mean, when you look at the table, we've scored the same amount of tries as we've conceded, which is a feat in itself. And the other teams in the top 8, they have 141 points difference, 145, 160, or 260, 20, 59, 47, and us with minus 19. It's that hello, my name is Jeff meme, right? It's just weird. Like we obviously win games really closely, and stuff like that penalty right in the last minute. It has happened to us a couple of times this year where we've been comfortably winning games and then we've given away a penalty that drags them back into the -7. So they've just taken that out or stuff like that. Or we've sat on leads and just defended and defended really well when we've won. So we've not blown teams out, but it hasn't ever felt like, apart from like once or twice where we've been blown away. It's for how we started as well, like everyone's saying, oh, you've got, of course, you're top 3. You had the easiest part of the schedule at the beginning. Well, we've backed that up at the back end of the schedule by staying in that top 8 after winning some really impressive games. Like, who would have thought we would have beaten the Stormers, who were going to try and finish top, and they didn't. They didn't beat them much.
It was nullifying.
We battered them. Like they didn't score a try for 73 minutes. Like that's been lost in the wash a little. We looked so good at times this year. We've looked poor at times this year. But it's stuff like we've been able to adapt that. I remember talking on this podcast that we should never tap and go from 5 meters out. On about 3 weeks on the bounce, because we were just getting absolutely mullered. And now, every time we're 5 meters out, I'm like, we should be tapping and going here because we've got game plans. So, and we can do stuff. We do that double switch thing that Dan loves so much. So, but yeah, I do like it. It's so impressive how we've adapted and adjusted compared to the relative budgets of everyone around us. And I say relative because the South Africans technically have a lower budget, but their buying power is better because of their economy.
And there's an absolute fuck ton of them.
Yeah.
We almost became Martin Lewis money saving expert then briefly.
Yeah, so I had to bring the pot back to the correct tone for the pod then.
Fraser, that all means finishing 6th. We go back to the Stormers now. We play them in the quarterfinals away Saturday the 30th. It's a 2:30 kickoff our time. It's going to be on Premier, and I don't know if they've announced it yet, but S4C are showing it.
URC website says S4C.
Oh, there we go. That's fine. Yeah. So it will be on S4C for probably the majority of people who aren't trekking down to Cape Town for that one. What do we think looking ahead to that one? Like I know you said earlier, sort of confident-ish, but like, what's stopping us going there to do the same performance again and get a result, I guess, is the question.
I mean, I guess, the South Africans are better at home. They pride themselves on that. And, going to Cape Town in May. Oh yeah, I mean I have no idea what the weather's like actually. We need the Met Office.
It
South
is getting
Africa.
into the
Steve.
South African winter.
Oh, it's
I will
cold.
say.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
I don't
Cape
think it's
Town.
cold.
It's freezing. It's like 25. It's freezing.
It's less warm. Although apparently, I feel from what one of the blokes on the URC rerolling was saying, basically, Durban doesn't get a winter, but everywhere else does in South Africa. So,
And Cape Town's on the coast, so it's near sea level. So
It's
it's,
gonna be bang on. Yeah,
altitudes
the
shouldn't be
stadium
a
is in
problem.
the sea essentially. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I would be. Yeah, I don't because that was a pretty strong Stormers team they put out there. That wasn't like a half-ass in it. They had like played their starters there, and we nullified them. I mean, I don't know how many fans they'll get down there for the stadium for the playoff, but I don't know. I think we can go there if we're going there early, like leave in, acclimatize a bit. I'd be again quietly not confident. Stop using that word. But we did it. The players must feel confident. They just beat Stormers, and they beat. We talked about it could have been more points if we'd taken the conversions. They didn't score for 70 odd minutes. Like we showed that we can hold them out, and I'm sure they'll come back and be probably better next time we play them. And there will be benefits of playing at home. It gives you energy. There's loads of reasons why you get advantages when you play at home. But I don't see any reason why the team themselves shouldn't be going into that match and feeling they can win it. Fans, we're kind of separate. There's different feelings, but players should be going into that. And 100%, we've played these guys 2 weeks ago. We got it. We can beat them. We've gone head toe to toe with these guys. They're bigger than us. The scrum was a problem, but we dealt with it. We'll deal with it again. So yeah, I think they would be going into that, the Cardiff players, with the idea of getting a victory. I don't think they'll be going into that saying this is a free hit. I think that's what Van Ziel will be saying as well. It's like we beat him, let's beat him again. Like, and then who knows what happens after that. So it's quite exciting.
I think I'm assuming that's your your child in the background.
It is, yeah.
Not happy with your opinion. Terrible takes on a podcast, Dad. Shut up.
So one thing that's different from when you normally play in South Africa, looking at the games from last year, we should have fully neutral referees. So normally we get a like Scottish or whatever referee, but then you'd have South African assistants and stuff. But looking at the two South African games from last year in the quarterfinals, one was Mike Adamson, Sam Grove White, Morne Ferreira, and Keith David, who sounds like he was a comedian on TV in the
Morne Ferreira must be South African though, no?
Maybe.
No, I think he's IRFU actually. Not Italian.
And they all.
FIR.
Oh, okay.
No, he is on the South African
one because Keith David's one of us, and he Welsh, I think, is he as a referee?
No idea. But looking at the other one was you had Craig Evans and so there was a load of Welsh ones in the other group. But that in of itself is a good thing because South African teams get the rub of the green because they're big and they do a lot of good things. But also, if we can stop, like if you can not have people who are employed by the similar companies, then that's a good thing.
We might have to stop using that line, no, when it's like Welsh derbies and Welsh referees, because we are sort of all employed.
Well, no, I agree. But yeah, exactly.
Well, the WRU is the exception that proves the rule.
Well, I don't want any WRU referees involved with our games because they're all rubbish. Like see Ben Whitehouse on the weekend.
Yeah, but I'd still rather not get a debutant Scottish referee every time.
Don't know.
Team news wise, obviously we don't know the exact status yet, but I think it's fair to say Josh McNally played for the RAF on Saturday, so we'd assume he'll be back for that game. Teddy Williams was a travelling reserve at the Cardiff game, so you'd hope that 2 weeks on that he might be in
line-up
the
ball
chance.
as well.
Yeah, he
training.
looked pretty
he
good.
Looked good.
I think Alex Mann, we still don't know exactly what the state of play there is, but there was nothing obviously wrong with him signing for autographs in the pack bar beforehand on Friday night. So
he's been kept in reserve to be an absolute bastard until next time. He's just gonna have 20 minutes and they're getting him off. They're going to get another South African player to try and gouge his eyes out.
And then in the backs, you got Josh Adams, presuming he comes through concussion protocols again, would hopefully be available. And the word on Harry Millard when he got injured a few weeks ago was that he was aiming to be back for the playoffs if we were to get through to that. So we certainly got some extra bodies there, Harley. I wonder, particularly the second row guys, Teddy and McNally, would they do anything to arrest the reversing of the scrum that we saw on Friday night at all, do you think?
I think McNally definitely would, because I think it's shown that when he's on the pitch, that loose head side does shore up quite well. And he's very technically good at scrum. I don't think it's going to fully absorb the retreat, but if it can at least hold up enough for that, the ref is forcing you to play it away, because they are leaning more towards getting the ball out as opposed to just going for all out penalties. That will help. And Teddy Williams was very good, was pretty good in scrummaging in the pack before his injury. So the potential is, my bigger issue is if you just throw these two in, we're completely shaking up the line out again. And I know they're both very good operators, but you lose your cohesion. So I mean, if they've said, right, Teddy and McNally are going to be our starting second row, and they're just going through it with Belcher, excellent. And I don't see any issues with that, but I said I don't think it's possible to fully negate a South African scrum. The best you can do is get enough parity that you get your own ball away and that you don't make it too much of an issue afterwards. Which again is we managed it well enough last weekend. I think with those, you're probably looking more towards parity. I'd never expect dominance.
I swear I saw Basham pick ball up from underneath the front row on Friday.
I'm sure Evan Lloyd did the same in his first scrum. And I remember Grow was there going, "Oh, I don't know about this risk of putting a hooker at number 8. How is he going to do it?" It's like, Grow, for fuck's sake, he's developed as an 8, you muppet. About the players if you're going to make comments
it's
like
more
that.
It's more of a risk when we put a back row hooker whenever Lloyd comes on, to be honest. It's a good point about the line now, and I think there's also there'll be some question mark around just how fit Teddy is, because obviously he hasn't played in a long time. So exactly how many minutes we can get out of him if he is available to start or be on the bench is
after a 12-hour flight where he hasn't played in South Africa, where it's going to be warm. I would imagine we probably go McNally Thornton, because that covers a little of both bases, and then have Teddy on the bench to come on later.
That's a risk, the bench, though, isn't it? Because if you lose somebody in a minute, you've got 79 minutes.
No, I agree, but I just
There's a world where it's Teddy.
I think I'm on, so
yeah, that's true. Well, I haven't decided yet. It could be a Teddy Thornton, I suppose, and then McNally comes on just early. Like you even get a half out of Teddy or something, and then McNally comes on at half time. So.
As we discussed last time was on the pod about with one of the games, we were saying potentially having 2 second rows on the bench. So even if you start McNally,
that's true as well.
McNally and Teddy, and then you put both Knott and Thornton on the bench.
Yeah,
and that's also going to help shore it up. That's going to help shore up your pack all the way through. You could probably get a little bit more out of them, and then you have a more versatile back rower to cover that.
Yeah,
and that I think that would cover all bases there.
We shall look at the team selection in detail next week, of course, as there is no game this weekend. Just like Saturday the 30th is a week Saturday, in case you haven't got a calendar in front of you, because obviously it's European finals this weekend. Any more on Friday's game? We move on from that. No, my only any other business on it is Tony. You got hold of one of the bucket hats that came into the crowd, but aside from that, did your life flash before your eyes when Corey Domachowski pointed a t-shirt cannon at your head?
Yes. When I saw him, and I think it was Ben Donnell walking around with a t-shirt cannon, I'm like, oh no, what the club doing? However, they obviously didn't pump it up enough, because the first one he fired out just sort of squirted straight out and just hit the floor. So after the game, I went on the pitch and my kid went for Belcher's autograph. And I mentioned to Belcher, did you see that they let Domachowski have the t-shirt cannon at halftime? And he went, what? Oh, yeah, but don't worry. One just squirted out. He went, yeah, he gets that problem a lot. So
good stuff. They were nice bucket hats, though.
They are. They're really nice.
I do have one little bit. So weirdly, even though I was hanging around with Hattie, who from the Scarlet's representative of the rap, she went to the game and I didn't because I went home to go see my kids stupidly. But when I left her at the pub, she bumped into a load of people from CF10, and they were very nice and looked after her throughout the whole game. So I just want to thank all those guys. Hattie didn't get all your names, so I don't know who they are. But yeah, thanks to the trust for being welcoming the opposition fans, including our worst rivals of all. But
she's one of us now. Sign up, get her a jersey. Good stuff. Right. At this point of the pod, then, if you're enjoying what you're listening to, please feel free to like and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're on. Give us a review on there as well. If you're on YouTube, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Loads of pods going out over the next few weeks, I'm sure, wrapping up the seasons. Obviously not us. Our season continues for ages, but all the other guys will be wrapping up their season and slowly moving on to test match stuff. But it's definitely later this year, I feel like, those test games. It feels like the last few years we've started kind of mid-June and now they're flying into July. I don't know if that, like, Lions is a bit later, obviously, but I feel like the test matches are later. Might just be me. Anyway, but yeah, we shall move on now to the news. I suppose the major player news was that the club announced the leaver list before the game on Friday. A couple, obviously, we already knew about: Ed Byrne, Corey Domachowski, Ben Donnell, Halfpenny retiring. Mackenzie Martin, I don't think will been officially announced, but I think everybody in Welsh rugby now knows that he's going off to France next season. But I think the two that we didn't really know about are Will Davis-King and Rory Jennings, who are both heading back over the bridge. I think Davis-King was mentioned as going to a championship side. I don't think it's confirmed exactly where Jennings is going yet. There was a couple of academy departees as well: Dylan Barrett, Ollie Das, Joseph Jones, Harry Rock, and then Callum Donahue-Proud and Johan Penry were not listed on next season's academy list, but also not as leavers. So I don't know, they're in some kind of purgatory somewhere waiting to find out what they're doing next season. But it's not a massive list. Fraser, I don't know if there's anything that jumps out at you there from the leavers, other than Ed Byrne, obviously still being listed, despite having actually already left the club.
I'm going through the stages of grief. I'm in acceptance now, so it's fine. No, I mean, they're kind of expected. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's a shame to see someone there like Corey Domachowski. He's great. I like him, but
yeah,
also it's a shame to see him go. He's been a great player for a long time. Lee Halfpenny says, say no more about him. Rory Jennings, he's done a good job for us, and he stepped in when he needed to. So wish him luck for wherever he goes next season. I think it's a fair. Shake hands, good luck to both of you kind of thing with him. And it is obviously a shame about Mackenzie Martin. He's someone who you wish you could build like a future with. He's the potential is there, and it's a shame that whatever reasons you can speculate as to why it's not worked out and why he's kind of drifted away. But it is sad to see him going, even if we already knew it. And also Harry Rock, I don't know who he is, but I just like his name, so it's a shame that he's left us as well.
Isn't he a prop?
He's a tight end, yeah. It's a perfect name. Yeah. Yeah, that is a shame, that one. I think for a couple of the youngsters there, guys like Joseph Jones, Rock, Dylan Barrett, they'll be in and around either Cardiff Met or Cardiff Uni's Buck Super Rugby teams next season. So, like Griff and the academy guys do a really good job at keeping close relationships with them. So I'm sure that if like we've seen with Ellis Bevan and Joe Cowell, if you perform well in the Buck Super Rugby League, there is a route back into the professional game at Cardiff for you there. So that they'll be keeping a close eye on them. There was a bit of player contract news as well. Liam Belcher was announced to sign a new contract, which I was convinced already happened. I put him on my graphic as contracted because I was sure that he'd already done that, but apparently he hadn't. So he was announced, and then Josh McNally was confirmed as a 1 year contract as well. 1 more year, as he described it himself. But I think we'll try and turn that into 4, maybe 5 potentially by the end of next season. Harley, there's the one name missing on the leavers list and still not on the contract list is Talupe Faletau. Are we coming round to the idea that he could stay next season? Is that is there a question mark over whether that's a good idea or not?
I think it would depend on the terms of how we're doing it. Like if we're going with the halfpenny route of, we're signing you as a player in, if we need someone to fill in the gap he's there and available, and then hopefully bringing through the younger players. And we've got quite a stacked academy for back rowers now, as we usually do. So actually having him having experience, I know he's not necessarily a talkative leader on the pitch, but apparently he's very good at giving an arm around young players and helping them through that. So I think because I always feel like with Alan Lawrence and Tane Basham, we don't really need. If you think of those stacks and the sort, you've got Basham who's international quality, Alan Lawrence, who I think is the peak, certainly at the peak of club standard. Having a British and Irish Lion is a luxury we don't necessarily need if we can spend that money on, say, an extra second row or a bit more depth at outside centre. So, if he stays, great. But at the same time, if he was to say, "Oh, I'm retiring," or I'm shooting off to Japan for one final payday, I wouldn't be too disheartened either.
I can't see him going abroad at this stage, mainly because he's got a kid who's in school, and that's quite a difficult thing because he'd probably be about year 4. He's the same age as my boy. We've played against him a couple of times. He is good, so we need to keep him in Cardiff to make sure he progresses through the process. But like Harley was saying about the halfpenny route, where we've probably utilised Halfpenny more as a kit coach than as a player so far this year. And Sheedy seems to have come on leaps and bounds because of that. By having Faletau to talk to the younger lads and Alan Lawrence. I don't think it's a surprise that Alan Lawrence's surge in form has coincided with him playing more with having Faletau available to him to talk to. I think that's why Winnett and Beetham are as good as they are, because they were coming through when we had Liam Williams in the club, and they got to learn from him. Even if he didn't play that much, he still would have taught them massive amounts. So having those experienced players in and around the squad are exactly what you want from them, right? So I'd take that from Faletau, even if it's like a sort of player coach sort of thing.
I just think the other element of it, and no, don't want to get constantly bogged down in this sort of thing, but the WRU do own us now, and if they've got an eye on maybe stretching Faletau out to the 2027 World Cup, if they can keep him going that long, then giving him a contract and wrapping him up in cotton wool for 12 months with us is probably something preferable to them. So that's just sort of the world we might be in now. I don't even think that's necessarily like too conspiracy heavy. That in if you take your Cardiff hat off and see it from a Welsh rugby perspective, it's probably just quite a smart move from them if they were doing that. But obviously we are Cardiff perspective, so we'll always be slightly annoyed when the WRU make decisions for themselves through us. But it'd be interesting to see what happens with him the next few weeks. I think my gran lives across the road from him and noticed that a few weeks ago the house was up for rent, I think it was, to let, and is now not. So. Read into that what you will, I guess.
Our web stretches wide.
I know when Faletau's close back to fitness because they live on. I won't say what part of Cardiff is, but there's a hill involved, and I get videos from my grand of Faletau running up and down said hill when he's close to getting back to fitness again. So sorry to Lupe, but I always know your fitness and your living conditions because you live quite near to some nosy old ladies. The last piece of news then. Today, as we're recording Tuesday, the full 2026-27 URC fixtures were announced, which is a world away from like that pre-COVID time when they used to announce them sort of the day before the season started and still wouldn't really tell you what day the game was on. It was sort of rough general fixtures. But headlines for Cardiff starting away at Scarlets on Saturday the 26th of September. Then there is a slight change to the calendar this year because the first round of European action is on the middle weekend of October, and then there's a single round in December before the final 2 games in January. We've got a Dragons double header at Christmas, Saturday the 19th at home, and then Boxing Day away. We go to South Africa in the last 2 weeks of January, which will probably be without Wales internationals as it leads into the Six Nations. And then we finish with Scarlets again at home on the last day of the season, 3:00 kickoff. Tony, anything that takes your fancy there, particularly from the fixtures?
My birthday, 2nd of January, Ospreys at home. I
Charlie's
mean,
birthday game.
it's the only game that I'm really looking at now.
Is that just to get presents off listeners, just to keep mentioning it's your birthday?
No, no presents, just beer.
How do you have Fraser, Harley? I don't know if anything particularly catches your eye fixture-wise.
I was just looking at. Oh, sorry, go on, Harley.
I was going to say, for once, we don't have Leinster in the middle of Six Nations, and I'm fucking excited about that, but also dreading it.
Yeah, when's it? Leinster away is Saturday, the 10th of October, 7:45.
Yeah, so it's in that first block of 5, so
Yeah.
that'd be interesting. Also, another chance to get Sharks at home, probably just as they're trying to integrate their Springboks back, or just before they can lose. I think that's the 5th game of the first block.
Fourth league game, 5th overall, because it'd be the week after that Champions Cup little interlude there, which I assume comes about because there's now 4 autumn internationals officially now as part of the Nations Championship, so they chucked another. I don't really know how that works because it's the same amount of weekends, but there's one extra game. I'm not too sure, but they've chucked that one in there so that I suspect they don't want going straight off autumn international straight into Champions Cup in those middle 2 rounds in December. Fraser, anything for you?
I was going to say I was looking at like conceivably we could win 8 out of the first 9 matches if you
I'll take that.
So yeah, but I was looking at that. I was like, oh, I can see that. What a start to the season that would be.
Top by Christmas.
Yeah.
No, I think the only other thing to say is that there's 4 3 p.m. home kickoffs for Cardiff, which is a testament to the work done by CF10 and the club themselves, who were not happy at all with the sort of generally late kickoff times that we had in the league this season, and have pushed really hard. And I don't know, maybe finishing a bit higher up the table gives you a bit more leverage in those discussions as well, potentially. But it's good that supporter feedback has been listened to. Although Simon in our WhatsApp group then said he doesn't really like Saturday 3 o'clocks, which I think just underlined my general opinion on rugby kickoff times, that no one likes any of the kickoff times ever, and nothing suits anyone. But it'd be good to have a couple of good old school Saturday 3 o'clock ones. The Champions Cup draw, just to say as well, is Wednesday the 1st of July. So keep that in your diaries to find out who we're playing there. Although EPCR are very much still in the mindset of do the draw and then the fixtures will come out sometime in the following 8 to 12 weeks. No one really knows when. So, but that'll be exciting to get into that one. Right, we'll finish this week's pod then with just a quick look at some end of season awards. We'll start pull together some short lists before handing them out at the end of the season, whenever that may come. I think Player of the Year is going to be the hotly contested one, and I did ask for people to send in their suggestions, and there was a couple of common themes, but a couple of different names around them as well. So I think everybody said Dan Thomas, bar 1 or 2 people, so he's obviously quite highly rated after the last few weeks. But then around that, Morgan said McNally and Sebastian was in consideration. DCB had Mulder and Sebastian. Gormodoblant had McNally, Big Al and Mulder. Simon mentioned Sheedy as a possibility. Lloyd had Big Al as well as Rhys Barrett and Jacob Beetham on his list. Yeah. Gareth had Big Al and Charlie had Sebastian as well. So, and Sid mentioned Tom Bowen as well for Player of the Season. I think I haven't put a Young Player of the Year shortlist on there because I think Tom Bowen might have that wrapped up. But yeah, he's put him in contention for the overall Player of the Year award as well. Fraser, we got 4 spots on the shortlist. So what would be the 4 names that you would come to there?
So I've got Ben Thomas, Sheedy, Dan Thomas, and Josh McNally. They're my 4 that I've come up with.
And I suppose if you were rating them, who would be your?
I think Ben Thomas would be my top pick, to be honest. I think he's been brilliant and covered. Yeah, he's just been quality throughout the season. Even he's missed a few games through Wales, but otherwise he's consistent and brilliant in every game he plays.
The consistency factor coming out on top.
Yeah.
Fair play. Harley, your 4?
Frankly, I feel like the absolute neglect of Ed Byrne has been shocking.
I was expecting him to put Ed Byrne
in. He's gone.
So In more serious news, for me, I think actually weirdly top is probably a player who I was very much not excited about us signing of this year was having Sebastian. I think just the amount of work he's got through and he's kept that scrum solid. He's picked up a fair few tries. He's been a good, part of the reason why our 5 meter drives haven't been completely terrible. Josh McNally again carries on his work, so I just put him very close second behind. Ben Thomas again, just excellent. He just makes our he just makes even when the attack's stuttering, he looks so much better for it. Um, and whenever we don't have him in the team, it looks demonstrably worse. And I'm sticking Jacob Beetham in there. It maybe took him a while to get broken into the team, but his form this back half of the season has been a big reason why we've stayed in the playoffs.
Is Steph Tony your four?
Sebastian McNally, for the reasons that have been said already. I then went Johan Mulder, just because our attack doesn't look anywhere near as good when he's either not there or not off form, which has been few and far between this year. And then Ben Thomas, again, because of the things that Harley was saying, we just look a better outfit with Ben Thomas there. He's so good.
Yeah, I had almost the same there. I had Sebastian McNally, Mulder, and then I had Dan Thomas over Ben, just because the last few
recency bias.
Yeah, there is a recency bias to that. But I think earlier in the season he was still playing well. I think he's just he's gone from playing well to playing out of his mind basically over the last few weeks. So I think just trying to tally up. This is gonna be. I should have done this beforehand and written them. I'm trying to do quick maths here, and an absolute nightmare. But I think we've got 3 Ben Thomases, so he's in. We got 4 McNallys, which is a fairly unequivocal. He's definitely in. We got 3 Sebastians.
A partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah, and then I think we do have. Have we got? No, we've only got one more. I think I'm going to have to put, just because of the amount of listeners that replied Dan Thomas, I'm going to put him in the 4th one then as well. So the listeners can have one spot on the shortlist as well. So our 4-person shortlist will be Ben Thomas, Josh McNally, Haven Sebastian, and Dan Thomas, which I think is quite a nice spread around the squad as well, positionally, which is nice to see. But it is an award which will be hotly contested. I think it's mad. If you'd said to me in January that Big Al Lawrence wouldn't be on the player of the season list, I think I'd have laughed you out of the thing, because I put a tweet up by his stats and he was top joint top for tackles made and then top for most carries as well, which in terms of just durability and work rate is right up there.
I've changed my list at least 3 times, and Al's been on it twice, and then keep getting cut in and cut out and stuff like that. So yeah,
it's and Mulder probably deserves to be on it as well for sort of his performances throughout the season. But yeah, it's a very hotly contested list certainly, and you could probably have done semi-finals, but I can't be bothered doing that many polls on social media. Coming just touching on some other awards, Fraser, got. I never really know how to term this award without making it sound like really rude in terms of most improved player, because it makes it sound like, oh, you used to be shit and now you're not. But it doesn't necessarily mean that. But I guess sort of either most improved or surprise player of the year or something along those lines. Who would be on your sort of list for that one?
I think Rory Thornton, just because he's had to step up to the second row, where he might not have otherwise been picked with the injuries we've had. And to be fair to him, he's been really good. He's played out of his skin. He's not the best player in the world, but he's got better game by game, and it's certainly not let us down at all. And we've managed to maintain parity and line out and that kind of stuff, and he's got good around the park. And I just think I've never particularly thought about him as a player. He's just been there for years, but he had this opportunity, and I think he's taken it and has seemingly improved in terms of the way he plays. And I think that's hats off to him. So he's he's the guy I'd give the award to. I think he's been here a long time as well, and I think sticking around and then taking the opportunity, stepping up when he's needed. Fair play to him.
Harley, did you have a similar or a different name for that one?
So I said Jake, as the name keeps coming out, I'm going to bang on to him because I feel he deserves something for this season. Jacob Beetham, because he's just gone from, just he's had to ping ball around positions, and he looks like he gets improves each time. And now he's settled in the wing. He's just absolutely phenomenal. We talked about as well in defence. Cameron and Callum Sheedy do deserve some mentions because they that was some very glaring weaknesses in their games. It has improved, but I mean, for me, if I'm sticking a name forward, it's Beetham.
Tony?
Agree, Beetham.
The name I had down, I've got Dav Hughes in there as well because I think I don't necessarily know if he's like improved necessarily and stuff, but we've used a lot more of him this year, and he's shown that the good performances we saw from him at the back end of last season, he can produce sort of on a more consistent basis this season. So yeah, I think I'd whack him in there as well. So we've got enough names for a poll there, so that'll go out at some point as well. I did have best new signing on there, but I don't know. Fraser, like, is it just Haven Sebastian now? Because we mentioned him for best player.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, that's what I put it down. It's definitely Haven
Because
Sebastian.
the other options got Ewan Lloyd, Tame Basham, George Knott, which I kind of feel like he's been here longer than one season. George Knott, I don't know why. Just like it feels like he has, but yeah, and in other years, particularly Basham and Knott probably could have been up and about for that award, I think. But yeah, Sebastian's gonna just get that one, isn't he? Good stuff, right? Any more on awards or recognition or anything roughly related to Cardiff Rugby? No, all good. Well, that is us for this week. We'll be back to properly preview that Stormers game next week, and hopefully we'll get a bit of team news to pick a 15. But until then, Fraser, thank you very much.
Cheers, Dan.
Harley, thank you.
Cheers.
And cheers, Tony.
Bye.
And we shall catch you next week. Goodbye.